winner goes on to the next match here. Another best of 3 here at the GSL Code S. In the bottom right, playing brilliantly and controlling the map in game number 1, he is
DongRaeGu.
He's got a serious face on.
It's a Terminator face. Over here in the upper left, we have our Protoss player, one of the best Brood War Protosses of all
Samsung
time.
Galaxy Khan Stork.
Do you know where babies come from?
You get
Stork.
them from the Cabbage Patch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're delivered by that guy. That probe has a baby right now.
Well,
Better be careful.
you got to be careful. You have to protect yourself against that probe.
Where did that come from anyways?
What?
That old tale?
Oh,
Is that like really, really
idea.
old that the Stork delivers the babies?
Oh, the Stork one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So back in Greek times, actually, a stork picked up someone's baby and then dropped it from the sky, and that's where that came from.
Are you serious? No, this kid can't be serious. I'm like, what?
Oh my! Like, yeah, you drop the baby, and that's storks drop babies.
I thought you were talking about like some kind of mythology or something like that for a second. I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of weird stories about the gods back then.
Yeah.
More DRG support here in the audience.
Yeah. All right.
Next is first.
Yeah, and it's just a pool first here from DRG, actually playing a very safe build. Might have been afraid of a possible cannon rush.
Well, from here, I think we're going to see a better game from Stork since it's not there's not a build order interruption.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, and he's always been known for like very tight and excellent build orders. Always has like the maximum amount of units you can have at any given time. So I'm excited to see actually what that is going to be, because I really did enjoy watching him react to the rush in
well,
game
you could see
#1.
he made it a very fluid response.
Mm-hmm.
But
he
yeah,
was water tasteless.
There was really just nothing that he could do from there, because it's why you don't see one-base builds really with Protoss against Zerg anymore. It's too easy for the Zerg to get such a lead.
Yeah.
I remember in the very old days of StarCraft, seeing these fast expand builds start to come out, and everybody was saying, "Well, is this actually a thing, or is this a form of cheese? Because this couldn't possibly work, right?"
I still stand by it's a form of cheese.
But yeah, it was a funny time when everybody was already in Brood War, and people were. It was a period where some players started doing it, and other players would actually say, "I will not practice against you." Like Zergs would say this: "I would not practice against a player who does this because there's no way it would be a legitimate strategy." Walling in with buildings was a lot harder in Brood War because they weren't as compact. For instance, you can have 2 pylons next to each other in StarCraft II.
It was almost random where you could fit in
Yeah,
between buildings.
Basically, if you were going to wall in Brood War, you had to go into a custom game and then type in the codes and then start placing buildings. I would make like 60 Ts, and I'd start placing buildings at each entrance and have stuff try to run through them. And then when I was done, I'd tear them down with the DTs again and then remake the wall and try to see what worked.
It's actually easier as an English speaker to fluently learn Chinese than to remember all of the various
for Protoss against Zerg.
Well, all the various Wallens in StarCraft 1.
Oh god, there were so many Wallens.
Well, right now we actually have a Stargate on the way, and kind of hidden in a cute little place, but it looks like a Zergling will spot it right now. So he sees what's going on. Should be ready for any Oracle play that is going to come out of Stork.
He's going to drive back the legs here.
Look at this.
Whoa. Almost
Stork
got
ain't
that link.
screwing around. Look at him.
All right, next probe out here.
I've never seen a probe fight against Lings like that. Oh, wow. 2 free Lings.
Phoenixes now be made. Okay,
Very
so this is going to be a
interesting.
totally different game from game #1.
Oh, certainly. And it's interesting to see him actually go Phoenixes. We haven't seen Phoenixes at this level in a little bit, even though they were once upon a time the only build. It's been so much Oracles lately. Oracles here, Oracles there, and now finally we get to go back into the Phoenix play and see what Stork has planned for us here.
Okay, so we have mass Phoenixes coming up here. I'm really wondering where does Stork take a game like this, especially after seeing that really awesome. Let's not forget about what we saw in that last game, guys. That really awesome mass stalker hallucination. That was a great moment. If you don't know a ton about Stork from the older days, how unbelievably good he is and how smart he is on the fly.
Yeah. Well, that really did show it. He's like, I need to get these units out of here.
He's like, well,
makes a bunch of stalkers because, hey, he should have a bunch of stalkers right now. The thing is, they aren't right there. So,
yeah,
really clever. It's not like he was going to use that force field energy anywhere else at that moment.
Okay, so the Robo Bay is starting up now. +1 attack is about halfway done, and Link's speed even further along.
He's even going right up to 3 gateways, or maybe 4 gateways, actually, and it's in pretty good shape. Like, this is kind of the much older style of PvZ, but what does DRG do against this? He's getting the melee attack upgrade, which is not something that we always see right away. This could mean that he's going to go right into Swarm Host play, but also there are, I mean, he could go into Infestor-based play. He could rush to Ultralisks. These are strategies that we have seen in the past. But based on currently what people are doing, I wouldn't be surprised if he does try to go into Stormhost, especially on King Sejong Station. This map, if you secure the 4th base on the high ground in the center there, and you actually secure it, then that's a super strong strat.
Yeah, it's really hard for the Protoss to do much against it. And so that a 3rd Nexus is being taken now. The Phoenixes are doing a good amount of damage here. They've cleaned up pretty much all the Overlords.
Yeah.
There's one at the upper right. Probably won't be found this entire game.
You know what, though? I don't think he's going to go into Stormhost the more I think about it, because he sees these Phoenixes, and Phoenixes always go right into Colossus tech, whereas Oracles almost always go straight into
you know what?
Blink.
That's a really smart observation.
Yeah. And while he won't be like super mobile like a Blink user would be, to have Colossus that early against low Stormhost counts, I think would be pretty tough. And I think DRG is easily able to like read that type of build order.
I think you're right. I mean, you look at someone like DRG from that interview we had. He was even saying he didn't really practice so much against other people as he did just really spent a lot of time thinking about how he was going to play the game and how he was going to react to his opponents. And I think we're really seeing that here now.
Well, right now we have a Spire and an Infestation Pit on the way. We'll see what this means. The Spire could just be for Corruptors, and he is taking that middle base, so that actually makes me rethink again and say, if you're taking that middle base, maybe what you're going for here is to have Corruptors out in time to help out with Colossus, but also trying to go Stormhost still.
Oh, you know what? None of those sentries died.
Nothing died there.
It's actually so funny.
That's Stork, man.
Beautiful force fields there. Yeah. Okay, so the 4th hatch is just now finished up. And let's see if Stork can come out here and try to put any pressure on this. And when you take the 4th like that the Zerg took up there, you're really taking map control. If you can keep that, Protoss has a much harder time taking a 4th. All 3 of the other expansions Protoss can take as it would be 4th. All very punishable from this position.
That's right. If he goes up there and like breaks that right now,
nice.
Terrible situation for DRG.
Yeah.
If he loses his 4th now, Stork has gigantic lead.
And also, that's exactly why DRG's running these Lings around up here, is because he wants to... Oh my god.
Just go off
it's
the map.
It's a dead end!
They go off the map, and in Game 3, they are waiting for DRG.
And the next time we're on King Sejong Station, we find them come back down from there. Yeah, but that's exactly why he had those Lings running around there, is he wants to just make sure he can just secure the 4th base, get his Swarm Hosts up,
that's right.
And just try to close the game out from here. And this is what we're talking about. He puts the Swarm Host down there and just shoots some Locusts towards any location. And in this case, it's going to be up here.
This is a good choice.
Stork is expanding.
This is a really good choice as well, because sometimes Protosses do like to take that high ground bases of 4th. But a lot of times on this map, you're going to have to take that right-hand side expansion because it's further for those Swarm Hosts. The Swarm Hosts will just knock down a 4th that's up there.
Okay. Protoss. Oh, God, don't lose that.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage on that guy. Just got to be careful about that.
15 mutas on the way. Now, the Zerg can really focus into the main here if the Protoss tries to move out, especially if you have tons of spines and Swarm Hosts there. You can send the mutas out, and then Protoss really has to decide, okay, am I going to attack into this Zerg, or am I going to sit back here and try to defend?
This 15 muta switch is actually a little bit dangerous. Like, his ground army is pretty weak at the moment. With a 3rd Colossus, I think he can break right through those Swarm Hosts in a matter of seconds. But obviously he needs to warp in a lot of Stalkers and have his Phoenixes nearby to help out against those Mutas.
Well,
but Stork just has no idea that Mutas are coming.
Well, also, I mean, there's only 4 Phoenixes out right now. Stork did lose a handful there. So just blindsiding his opponent with all these Lings and Mutas here, I think this is a fantastic play.
Well, we'll see if it works out for him. The Mutas are in. The Lings came in. Didn't really do a whole lot there. And he does chase it all away, but these Mutas are going to keep him pretty busy since he's on 4 bases.
Okay, so the upper right base there, the 4th base for Stork, has been taken. We don't have probes mining from it just yet. Oh, wow, we just caught this. Okay, a mass warp-in of Zealots here. This is going to draw the Muta's attention all the way back here into the main.
Yeah, this
oh my
is a
god,
nice
he's got so many Mutas out now. This is 26 Mutas.
Yeah. Well, we have 2 more Stargates on the way for Stork, so hopefully he'll get Phoenix range as well. And once he gets that, that's going to be really, really helpful. But right now, those Swarm Hosts are like kind of out in the open. Like, he's just going to get 3 free Swarm Hosts.
Yeah, this is, you know, the Swarm Host play was so half-hearted. Okay, well, hold that thought, though. Here come the Mutas now. This is a ton of Lings and Roaches. Nice time warps there.
Yeah, he's got to throw down some Force Fields as well. And needs to keep these other units back. Needs a... Oh, my God, he's actually crushing those Mutas at the moment. But he does lose his sentries.
And losing the Colossi as well here is going to make this ground army nowhere near as strong. I mean, it's just Stalkers and, of course, Phoenixes that can pick up stuff on the ground. But when Corruptors come out here and you combo that with Ling Muta, I think DRG's in fantastic shape here.
You know, I don't mind the shape of Stork, though.
Really?
He has 4 bases. He's getting a second Robo. He has 3 Stargates making Phoenixes. He has a good clump of Phoenixes, even though his army, like his ground army, is a little bit weak right now. If he's standing in the right positions and active with his Phoenixes, I don't think he dies anytime soon, and he's going to be able to remake those Colossi. So,
well, let's see if
I actually don't mind it.
Let's see if you're right here. I mean, you could be dead on here. I mean, if he could transition into that, absolutely. He's now chasing back the Phoenixes. The Corruptors are out with the Mutas.
By the way,
I don't know what's up at the upper right base. Is it just the Stalkers now? Okay, Stalkers and some Zealots.
Yeah, he's spending massive amounts of gas right now trying to get his Colossi count back up and trying to get his Phoenixes going.
Also, +3 is getting very close to finishing here, which is going to be really helpful.
Oh, certainly it is. 2-2, though, on the way for DRG, so he's actually going to take a slight advantage in upgrades. But 3-3 really +3.
See, this
really
is
good.
the danger of Ling Muta. You're so fast.
Well,
and look, he's actually going into the main here. So
he actually has that little hole in the wall in.
Yeah.
It's pretty rough. Oh, man. Well, I guess he actually is going to save that Nexus, but losing the natural one is a really big deal. That's a big chunk of his economy, but he still has plenty of probes. So if he wants to remake that, it's not that big an issue.
He actually has more
remining.
probes than the Zerg has drones.
Well,
those Lings can be used to run in once again if he wants.
And
he's count total right now. What are we at with that? We have a lot out here.
Yeah, it's a pretty good amount, but he's lost a few here and there. He continues to make them, though, and the Corruptor count, I think, is actually even a little bit more scary.
Yeah. Another nice run in here. He's going to be able to get that Nexus.
Oh, man. Well, he brings in those Stalkers. Where are his Phoenixes? They were flying south, even when those Mutas were starting to attack. Looks like they will turn and go over towards where those Mutas were, but I feel like he needs to keep... Well, I guess... You know what? He just corrupted that Anion Pulse Crystals really smartly. But as soon as that's done, I think he needs to keep his Phoenixes on top of the Mutas. He needs to actually focus more on micro than on macro or even moving around the map right now. He needs to get very cost-efficient against these Mutas because they're dictating the game and dragging him all around the map.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just so hard to confront them. On the way this map's shaped, it's so hard for the Protoss to get back and forth from the main to defend that and everywhere else all the way over to the fourth. The Mutas can get around so easily, and with the Phoenixes there and the Corruptors with them, the Phoenixes, of course, they get there first, but the Corruptors immediately drive them back.
And we do
another
see
cancel, nicely done.
Yeah, and he forces him back, I guess, for now, but really, DRG did everything he wanted to there. This Corruptor count is so ridiculously high that it's really hard for the Phoenixes to do anything. So it looks like he wants to get some Archons, because if you have the Phoenixes with Archons underneath, the Corruptors suddenly are not nearly as strong as they were before.
It looks like he may be going up here to the fourth, but I believe Protoss should be prepared here. All the Phoenixes and the Stalkers up here and ready. Zerg maxed out right now. We have even more Mutas coming up here to meet up with him. And is he just going to go for this? Is he just going to attack in?
Yeah.
Now, there is an Archon being made, but right now, so many of these Stalkers are getting corrupted. There's just too many Mutas.
That is a lot of
This is actually,
Mutas.
I believe, game here. I think he's just going to take out... all of these stock. I mean, look how many mutas there are. I believe they're, what, +2 attack?
Well, he has 15 Phoenixes,
Oh,
though, with
God.
range, so he's starting to pick everything off. Like, the Corruptors are getting
I was
really
watching all those
softened.
Stalkers die, and then as it comes down, yeah, the Corruptors.
Well, he had to micro against the Corruptors because DRG was doing a really good job keeping the Corruptors in between the Phoenixes and Mutas, but now he has this ridiculous clump of Phoenixes.
13 more Corruptors. One factor, too, is that Zerg was maxed out during that when the Mutas were coming back up there. So let's see what happens when these Corruptors pop back out here. But yeah, +2 Phoenixes actually coming down.
And
we also have a counterattack that's been going on up here into the main. Okay, it's just a few links.
If he doesn't close the hole in that wall pretty soon, man, I'm going to lose my mind. That's really an issue here. Well, he's continuing to micro really well with these Phoenixes.
We actually had both the supplies plummet here. It's now 143 to 134.
And you know what? This is... I got to keep saying, like, I don't mind the position that much for Stork. He's gotten a good Colossus count. He's going into Void Rays, which will actually really help him in an ultimate battle where he can target the Corruptors.
Well, that'll be super helpful because the Corruptors, they just have so much force when they approach the... Oh, God, it's happening again, man.
Like, just put a Zealot there, seriously. Take, like, a long time for Zerglings to kill a +3 Zealot right in a row. But anyways, the Corruptor's moving up. He's going towards that 4th base, and these Phoenixes are actually way out of position.
One thing that the Lings are doing is they're even causing the Phoenixes to go back. Even though the Phoenixes are made to defend against the Mutas, the Phoenixes can get there first and pick up those Lings. So even in a moment like that, you see the 4th suddenly attacked there by DRG.
The probe count has actually fallen quite dramatically.
way.
He still has minerals at all 4 bases, but only 48 probes. We see he's focusing a lot of money on that again. But he really needs to be more careful about allowing that 4th base to get sacked by Mutas. That's like the 4th time they've flown and killed probes.
Yeah, and with the Infestors coming up here, this is going to be really
Good
hard
move.
for Stork. I mean, we're in one of these games where both players are stuck trying to up the ante here with their air units.
Yeah.
But if you fungals and the Protoss army just disappears.
Yeah, that's true. If he gets those on the Phoenixes especially, this game can just end because the Corruptor count and the Muta count like cannot be taken on without those Phoenixes.
Yeah.
The Phoenixes are really the most important units in this game right now.
You notice, as you guys have probably seen throughout this game, when Stork took that 4th base on the high ground, keeping the 5th is actually not anywhere near as hard, especially if the Protoss is expanding, like to this expansion here. If the Protoss is expanding in that direction,
so far.
There's just not. It's so hard for the Protoss to get down there to the Zerg's 5th and actually do something. And by the way, for the longest period of time, he was only mining gas from there. He only just recently started mining minerals.
That's quite true. But some harassment has happened. Like we've seen Zealots down there a few times, like kind of killing a few drones.
I think that's why he keeps like these 2 swarm hosts there.
Yeah.
Is that they just...
Locusts are just too good against Zealots.
Yeah,
so.
It's really smart. We haven't seen this actually as much from other Zerg players. Just swarm hosts using these very small numbers. Okay, here we go. The Muta's now coming in here. He's got to be careful because there are 2 Archons. Actually, excuse me, 3 Archons in that group.
Yeah, he has these.
I'm actually confused as to why he engaged that.
I think it was actually an engagement. Like he targeted on the Void Rays ASAP. I think he wants to keep that number low first off. And so if he wanted the Phoenixes to actually follow him because the Infestors were right behind those rocks.
Okay.
And so if that had happened, he could have just won the game right there. But let's see. Here we go. Does blink forward. Those Infestors running out of here. The Infestors really important right now as well. That is a lot of Phoenixes, Tasteless.
Oh my God, that was a nice fungal there. God, that's so many Phoenixes. 23 Phoenixes actually.
Yeah, but 22 Mutas and 24 Corruptors.
Okay.
Phoenix is right in the middle of those 2 numbers.
Okay, here we come now. We have some fungals. No fungals actually, as the 3 Infestors die.
And
I think Stork just.
I think he's actually going to wreck this army, man.
Yeah, he just did it.
Yeah.
That was a miscontrol there by DRG. Stork definitely backed the Phoenixes off to where the Infestors couldn't do the damage, and DRG has to tap out. GG, really nicely done by Stork.
This was a fantastic game.
Yeah,
it really was.
This game was really fun to cast. It was really fun to see how it developed because they were both playing very well.
Yeah, they really were.
And it was not your standard PvZ either.
Yeah, it was really interesting how DRG did a strategy that is like pretty normal to take the 4th base on that high ground while going into Swarm Hosts. But he had the Spire, which I thought he would use for Corruptors to stop a Colossus timing on that 4th base, considering Stork started Colossus so early. But instead, He chose to go for the mutas. He made 15 mutas when he was very low on Swarmos. If Stork had somehow known that mutas are in those eggs, which of course is impossible, he could have probably broken the 4th base and gotten a big lead, but DRG kind of like parlayed that into running him around the map for the rest of the game. But
it was such a harass Zerg.
Yeah, it was like, that was a really nice game.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Shows the power of Phoenixes, by the way. You keep those live all game long and just whittle them down.
Well, they're such nimble units.
Yeah.
If you were just able to stay on top of them and still multitask everything else in your base.
Yeah,
I mean,
candlesticks everywhere, right over them.
Well, we didn't even really count how many Overlords were actually annihilated in that game. There were so many more.
Yeah,
the Phoenixes just came through somewhere and just obliterated the Overlords.
Yeah.
Overgrowth is game number 3.
Okay, this is just a good map for these two to face off on. It is a map that Zergs love to choose, but as I always say, Protosses don't really mind the map. Yes, it's good for Zergs, but it's not bad for Protoss, which some maps are, you know?
Certainly.
So we'll see how this one goes. I think it's a good deciding map for these two. May the better player win.
And that game is now loading up. Overgrowth, DRG against Stork. The winner goes on to the winner's match here to face off against Sue in our next best of 3.